The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Wednesday in the Riv.
It's Wednesday in the Riv, the day after the lottery.
Day after the big lottery. And who hit the lottery?
Erica Scott Pacheco.
He was the lottery winner.
Lottery winner. She's top of the ballot.
She's going to be at the top of the heap.
Yep.
At least at the beginning of the election.
Well, this will prove whether or not position on the ballot plays any part of the election process here in Fall River. Because everyone says if you're at the top of the ballot, you're more likely to be elected. Let's find out.
Yeah, and look, I know there's a lot of people have said that for a very long time. I just disagree with that totally because, as a matter of fact, I think just the opposite, in my opinion, is when people go to Fall River, they look for the chow mein sandwich. You know, it's like looking for the blue bug.
Yep.
You know, they're looking for particular names of friends, and that's one of the problems in these elections. They don't vote for individuals based on their platform. They vote for their friend's friend, or I know somebody who knows this person, and they're okay, and even though they're entrusting their wallets and their tax bills, and we do it all over, including the federal government at our highest level, because elections have become marketing, and marketing in Fall River, you know, is freebies.
That's right.
Free, you know, a free little something,
Better not be a donut.
Yeah, ham and beans, something else like that. But as you said, the lottery is the lottery. There were people that used to complain that incumbents got an unfair advantage,
Right.
and all this other stuff. And you know, look. The voting record in this city is abysmal. Half of the people don't show up at the polls anyway. So is this going to make a significant difference, this lottery, or anything they do? The only thing they can do is if they physically drag everybody to the polls and ensure that they mark a ballot.
Right.
That would be the only way, because obviously allowing this city to deteriorate into virtual dust and allowing our federal government to become total chaos where they're not dealing with any of the issues of Americans who are working for a living and paying taxes, and yet they stay in office. They stay in office no matter how obvious and blatant their disregard for the people they represent is. So forgive me if this doesn't, everybody's all excited over this lottery. I'm sure the Charter Commissioners are dancing around because, look we got something that worked. Well, it worked because it's totally meaningless.
Exactly.
It's inane, if you want a new word. Means for you out there that like to look in a dictionary, inane.
But, and as I said, you know, Erica Scott Pacheco's at the top of the ballot.
Yeah.
Paul Coogan's second. Jaisal Correa's third. And it's going to make for an interesting time because the way this lottery happened was the Election Commission called a special meeting of the Elections Commission just to do this because they wanted to be part of it. When the only thing the charter says is the city clerk has to pull the names. So the city clerk put the names in envelopes and put them in something similar to a fishbowl and then pulled them out and called the names. I guess that was something very important to be a part of.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, and you know who appoints the Election Commission?
Yeah, the mayor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I wonder why they wanted to be there, to
Yeah,
ensure.
no.
And look how good they did. He's
He
last.
got third.
He's last.
But here's the interesting part about it. This lottery has to be done all over again for the general election.
Yeah.
And that time, in the general election, it's going to be for 3 elections: the mayor, the city council, and the school committee. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, at least in the final election, we know for the mayor's office, you're going to be first or second.
Yeah, that's it.
So, And alphabetically, it was pretty close, a pretty close race there.
Yeah.
You know, C-O-C-O, you know, C-O-R, C-O-O. Look, as I said,
But again, and this is what bothered me about the recall. During the recall election, they put Jazel at the top of the ballot because he was an incumbent. The charter doesn't say that.
yeah.
The charter doesn't say that. The charter says that it has to be.
Nor
a lottery.
does the section of the charter that defines the
addresses-
recall.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, there's absolutely, but then again, we know the corporation counsel who got a pay raise and who works for him would say, oh well, that's yeah. But as you said, again, we have this sliding applications of charters. If it benefits them, they do it one way. If it doesn't benefit them, they'll do it another way. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting election, not because it's not going to probably go exactly the way, unfortunately, it's always gone, but it'll be interesting to see all this little drama, this side drama, behind the scenes drama about, you know, whose name's going to go first and what are they going to claim and how many chow mein sandwiches will be given out and things like this, because the election, unfortunately, will probably be the same old, same old.
Yeah.
And which then defies the logic of this big deal of making a lottery thing of, you know, well, how is it going to be? So let's see if one of these unknown city council candidates gets at the top of the ballot
And wins.
and finishes at the top of the city council race. Then we'll have to say, okay, it's our time to eat crow.
That's right.
We were wrong.
Speaking about eating crow, yesterday CNN came to Fall River. As you know, we spoke about this prior to spoke about it yesterday. A little over 1,500 chow mein sandwiches were sold, with all the money going to the St. Anne's Preservation Group. And of course, every politician had to be there.
Of course. And
And
you know,
Alan Sylvia showed up with a proclamation, and standing beside Alan Sylvia was guess who? Jazel Correa.
Jazel, and of course, I think they're attached at the hip, actually.
I
but
was wondering if Leo showed up, because this way he could say that the chow mein sandwiches were
He
from
made
him.
them. I'll tell you what, it's hard to find a good chow mein sandwich in the city of Fall River again, even though we're famous for them. You know, in the old days, they used to be a nice light gravy. Now it's like, it looks like 30-weight oil.
Yeah, I know.
In a lot of these Chinese restaurants, it looks like motor oil.
I saw some pictures of the MeeSum chow mein sandwiches in their to-go cartons and everything.
Yeah.
And they looked halfway decent, but I didn't buy one. I can't get out to go buy one, but
Yeah. Well, I unfortunately I forgot about it, but then again, I would have had to try to time it when there were no politicians
There was
there.
lines
But
up
I
the
would have
door.
bought one just to basically make a contribution. And I do like chow mein, and I'm not talking about. I'm not going to drive all the way to the south end for a chow mein sandwich, unfortunately. But I haven't, as I said, I think on a previous show, I haven't had anything at MeeSum's in a long time. MeeSum used to have pretty decent food.
Yeah.
When I was working in the south end, and I spent probably more than half my career on the fire department in the south end of the city as a firefighter lieutenant and as a chief. But we used to go to MeeSum's a lot and pick up food.
well, it's still run by the same family, the Marx family. So I don't know how much the food may have changed. I know I've gone to MeeSum's a couple of times. They're a little pricier than other venues in the city, but the food is probably a lot better than everywhere else.
Without dating ourselves, we remember when a chow mein sandwich was under 50 cents.
I know.
Yeah, we are dating ourselves because now they're getting
$5.95.
wow. That's
$5.95.
that's-
And the interesting thing was, and people were saying this, people were waiting in line for up to an hour to get inside to buy a few chow mein sandwiches. The line went out the door.
Well, that was good for St. Anne's anyway. At least.
Exactly.
It was good. It's good that it went that way. And you know, people say, "Wow, you know, chow mein sandwich," but I remember a time when there were no school lunches.
Yep.
That we used to be released and we were on our own to eat. And almost all our parents worked in the mills or worked on the somewhere, and you didn't have anybody. So we used to have a rotating restaurant. We were like the galloping gourmets with very little money, though. So we used to go to Mark Hughes on one day for chow mein and French fries, and then the next day we'd go to George's hot dogs, and then we'd go to Long's restaurant. We had the whole, because we had nothing to do in between the release and when we went back to school. And everybody used to basically eat out because you know, we weren't.
I remember
school lunch. There were no school lunches. We didn't get free lunches.
See, I wasn't that lucky. The only place I could go when we were released from school for lunch was Billy's Cafe. That was it.
Well, I'm not sure if you weren't that lucky. I think you were pretty lucky. I would have spent a lot of time at Billy's eating too. Billy's used to have great food.
I went to the Pine Street School when it was open, way back when, you know.
Yeah.
And we would get released for lunch, and we'd walk home or wherever. I used to walk to my grandmother's house, and she'd feed us, you know, sandwiches. She'd make hot meals, everything. But it wasn't a lot of time. You know, you had to go home, you had to eat, and you had to get back to school, and.
Yeah, but it was a time. But it was a time again that reflected something we always talk about the degeneration of Fall River.
Oh yeah.
And how they try to fix it by bringing in these big corporations. It's about small businesses. It's about people working. It's not about companies. It's about people and it being employed. Because when we grew up, there weren't a lot of rich people here. Everybody was blue collar. They all worked. My mother worked in a sweatshop for 55 years. My father worked construction and worked every day in the summer, obviously, and then in the winter he'd have to get something else. But everybody's parents worked in the mills. They all worked at whatever mill it was, or they worked somewhere, and we had jobs. And we went out for dinner. But when we went out for dinner, with our 50 cents or $1 if you were on a good day, maybe. You had $1 to go out and have lunch. But it showed the difference when people are working. There were, let me see if I can remember most of them correctly. And I'll start at Stafford Square because I went to school at James M. Aldrich School on between Harrison and Quequechan. And I went to Davis Grammar, of course, which was on Quequechan. Yeah. And so we were in the Flint. I grew up in the Flint and proud of it. And
Flint rat.
But look at, that's right, a Flint rat, a proud Flint rat. But from Stafford Square, you had Ed's. We used to call it Dirty Ed's, but Ed's. And then you had Zeke's restaurant on the corner of Way-Bossett. Then you went up and you had Mark Hughes, Mylan's, Long's restaurant, Grace Wong's. So that's already like 5 or 6 restaurants. Then you went up to Bashara's. So you had about 8 restaurants just on Pleasant Street, and they were all viable and made a living.
There's one that I don't know if you ever went there. You probably did. That was on Stafford Square, but that was Feng Wong's restaurant.
Oh yeah, Feng Wong, but that was like.
That was off the
The Flint rats wouldn't cross that. They wouldn't get that.
They would have crossed Stafford
on that
Square.
side of Stafford, on that side of the square. That wasn't a Flint anymore. We were very, very parochial in those days. We kind of stayed from about the fire station up to even at Bogle Hill. We never really got by Bashara's.
Yeah.
Because that was almost at Bogle Hill. So, but we're walking down memory lane, but it does have a reason. It shows the difference in a city when people are working. Even if they're not the greatest jobs in the world, when people have discretionary cash and they can spend it, we have businesses and a much better economy. And also, that was a bygone era when taxes were not mandatory.
Right.
Where mayors got booted out and city councilors got booted out if they continued to pick your pocket.
Well,
but hey, that's the way it is. So
a time well remembered, time well lived.
And we can segue right in quickly to this. Brazilian and Asian restaurants plan openings. Brazilian takeout planning to open out of an existing storefront on the corner of East Main and Globe.
Trying to think, what storefront is that? East Main and Globe.
East Main and Globe. Well, I know that area well too.
Yeah, I know.
East Main and Globe. Oh God, there used to be well, there's a bakery on one corner.
Right, that's Lou's Bakery.
Lou's Bakery. There's a hot dog stand and with apartments above it on the opposite corner from the bakery.
Maybe that's where it's going.
The other corner on the
got a garage,
northeast corner,
Doesn't it have a garage?
that's like a parking lot and a
Right.
garage.
Yeah.
And on the other side, it could be the aluminum place. There used to be
Right.
a window, aluminum rail and a window place. So see,
Yeah.
I guess my memory's still pretty good.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be either the hot dog joint, or since it's a takeout, I would say it's probably the hot dog place.
Yeah.
And that was a fairly new addition. It's only been there a little while. Or the aluminum window and
Right.
railing place. So, and then the other place
That's
is that 418 Quikasham.
That's Apsara's.
Yeah.
They were there before.
Yeah.
They're trying to reopen now.
Wow, I don't even want to think about that place. I grew up across the street from that mill, and that mill is infested with rodents. And that's where the old Stella Ann Frocks used to be. It's in that mill complex where Stella Ann Frock used to be.
Well, prior to its closing, Apsara had advertised itself as a restaurant specializing in Asian dishes originating from Cambodia, China, Thailand, and Vietnam. So,
Yeah,
and somebody told me they had good noodles. So,
yeah,
I've never eaten there.
Neither have I.
I've never eaten there.
And now to the big news here of the day. Herald
Yes.
News article.
By the way, it is going into the old Lil Willie's Coney Island hot dog stand at 380 East Main Street, the Brazilian restaurant.
Yeah, that's the hot dog stand.
Right,
Yeah, I don't even know the name of it.
Lil
I knew it was a
Willie's.
hot dog
Yep,
joint. but-
Lil Willie's.
Okay, Little Willie's. Okay, Fall River Mayor paves way for 2 marijuana dispensaries run by girlfriend's brother.
This
Okay.
isn't the first time. This isn't the first time.
Oh, well, didn't he give girlfriend's daddy a nice sweetheart deal too?
Yeah, daddy
Oh,
and brother.
he's still trying. They're still
Yeah.
working on that deal.
Yeah, that's where the entertainment venue came for the pier.
Okay, for all you ladies, maybe we'll have a TV series, The Bachelor, starring Jaisal Correa. And you know, if you can
And
snag them,
Pedro
if you
Fernandez.
can snag them, your family can get into a lot of businesses in the
That's right.
city. So, well, a letter of non-opposition, and I think in this article he said this individual is a good businessman. That was the mayor's quote, which is really irrelevant. Think about it. What do you care?
Well,
You get the fee, they open a business. If they're lousy businessmen, they go out of business. That's actually called capitalism.
right.
Not government. In government, the more incompetent you are, the more pay raises and the more help you get. But in capitalism, it is laissez-faire. Let it be.
Yep.
You know, and if you survive, you make money. If you don't, you are toast. But
Interestingly enough, where he wants to open these dispensaries, one is located at 2629 South Main Street. That's close to the Tiverton line. Another one close to the Tiverton line.
oh, that'll do really good for traffic.
Right.
But the only difference is the cars will move because, as we said on a previous show, this isn't going to change the number of people.
No, it's not.
Because, you know, the people who are buying, and there are a lot of people buying.
Yes, there are.
There are a lot of people in that line every day. I get reports that the lines are endless every single day. But all they're going to do is they're going to, you know, they'll go to one dispensary or another. I don't know why they call them dispensaries. I guess.
Here's the other interesting part. The second dispensary
Yeah.
is going to go at 362nd Street. Can you see the traffic at 362nd Street?
That's a very congested area.
Exactly.
And
you're
it's a
gonna
real
put-
tight street. I mean, you know, Second Street's not a wide.
Right.
Oh well, hey, you know,
I mean, you got a bus going down 2nd Street, and that's it. That's the end of that.
the state's happy. Everybody's happy. They can justify more people on the commission.
But the
more-
city council won't be happy because we already have 11 letters of non-opposition out, and this is 2 more. And the city council limited it to 11.
And what is the price of the letter of opposition? Oh, that's right. That'll be determined at a future date.
Well, this is Daddy's friend. This is the girlfriend.
Oh, that might be. It
Brother.
might be gratis for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we got a few minutes left, and I think it's incumbent on us to get it back into the tragedies that we've had in El Paso and Dayton, because they've been They've been on the news.
I'm a little tired of hearing from people who are saying, Trump isn't doing anything about it. Trump is doing this. Trump is doing that. He shouldn't go. People in El Paso say we don't want him here. People in Dayton are saying we don't want him here. He's the president of the United States. Whether you like him or not, he's the president of the United States.
Well, and you're right, CJ. This is it's an atrocity. And the people who elect these people, because the party of division is the Democratic Party. They try to pander to every ethnic group, and the only way they can do that is by not allowing that group to become part of a whole, to assimilate into our culture. But look, this is absurd. Let's deal with the tragedy. Let's deal with the realities. Let's deal and have sympathy for the victims, and nothing but pride for the police officers and first responders who did such a great job. And let's look at the facts. Let's look at the reality of these things, because look, as we said on the last show, this is all baloney. Trump did. I forgot the statistic, and I will have to get it for the next show to correct myself, if my figure's wrong. But there were like 200, in excess of 250 mass casualty incidents when Obama was the president. Did anybody blame Obama?
No.
So it has nothing to do with rhetoric, positive or negative. These people, whatever reason it is, like we said, whether it's revenge or ideology, and if you look at the news, it's so biased. The Dayton shooter, nobody's going into the background because he was a left-winger.
Right.
Not a right-winger. And besides that, it doesn't matter what wing you are. If you do something like this, it's got nothing to do with the individual. They'll find a reason. As I said on the other show, people of the same nationality, the same color in Ireland killed each other over religion. People kill each other over ethnicity. People kill each other over, I want your corner. People kill each other because people are not fundamentally good. There are sheeps and there are wolves in this society. And the sheep doesn't care when they get eaten what the motivation of the wolf was. So, yeah, you're right. It's disgusting. It's deplorable to watch this relegated to a political debate and used as a political weapon by anybody. Let's look at the realities. I believe I explained why assault weapons are dangerous, more dangerous than any other weapon. And we actually did it before. Now it's on CNN and every the channel. They had one of the trauma surgeons explaining what, and he explained it, but not to the degree. And I know our show wasn't on Mondays. For you people who don't have a computer, I'll give you a quick synopsis again. An assault weapon was created to cause maximum damage and casualties in military operations. That's what those weapons were developed for. And even though I feel that any law-abiding American should be able to purchase a weapon, I do not believe there's any place, and this gets us back to why this is pure politics. This isn't about the shooting. They're talking about more background checks and stuff, but they still have the right-wingers saying, we're not going to talk about banning assault weapons. The surgeon said it. They see traumatic injury wherever those bullets enter. They said the holes are coming out, the exit wounds the size of an orange. And I saw that. I saw a demonstration of the AR-15 when we were the first unit to get them. They shot a jerry can and it came out, and the hole looked like a grapefruit when it came out. You have a very light projectile or bullet. In the case of the original M16, it was a .223, which is slightly larger than a .22, being fired with a muzzle velocity of 3,200 feet per second. I may be off a few feet. It's been a long time since I've looked at the stats. The AK-47's muzzle velocity is 2,300 feet per second. The reason that's an issue is because when you fire a projectile, any projectile, let alone a very light projectile, with that much velocity, causes the bullet to actually wobble. It's coming out so fast and it's so light, it actually wobbles. And that creates, when it impacts, it creates tremendous damage. It's like if you get hit with an M16 or an AK-47 in the belly, it basically turns your internal organs into jelly. It looks like they put them in a blender. They put them in a blender. And that surgeon was talking about the tremendous bone damage and internal organ damage that was suffered by these people. And that was a conscious decision by the weapons makers, because that was done for battlefield use, where your enemy could not be taken care of on the battlefield. He would either die on the battlefield or have to be removed because he could no longer fight and he was near death. So anybody that tells you they need that type of weapon to defend their home is full of crap. The only time you need an AK-47 or an M16 is if your house is being invaded by a drug cartel that has similar weapons. These weapons are weapons for military use only. And anybody that tries to con you and tries to say that you need a high velocity, that's the key, high velocity assault weapon to defend your home with the weaponry that's available today in the United States is lying through every orifice they have. That's what disturbs me about this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. This should be about what happened, about stemming the tide of these things. And you can't identify. The politicians look for one simple explanation to everything. We can fix it by passing laws. We can fix it with background checks. You can't fix human nature. There's always going to be some cuckoo that's going to do this. The only thing you can do is minimize it. And we have to look at it realistically, like they did in England when they were having the problem with Ireland. As I said in the previous show, go to Heathrow Airport, see the security they had. Go to Tel Aviv, fly into Israel, see the kind of security they got. They're surrounded by terrorists and nations that want to obliterate them. But they're dealing with the reality. The reality is you got one left wing, one right wing, then you got somebody else that's mad because he got fired. And they're trying to put everything in a box. We're going to blame Trump. We're going to blame this. We didn't blame Obama. There were 40,000 rapes in the last 2 years by illegals. Are we going to blame the Democratic Congress for not building a wall for those rapes? If you use their logic, they're at fault, just like Trump is. There were 4,000 murders in the last 2 years by illegal aliens. So was Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris responsible for those because they didn't try to stop the influx of immigration? That's not the problem. That's political dialogue created to get votes, and that's the deplorable thing about this whole situation. The fact that people are getting campaign donations based on this tragedy is sickening. It's disgusting. It almost makes you embarrassed to have this government that we have in Washington now, that won't take care of your drug prices, that won't take care of you, but will use this for their own political gain. And if you think I'm angry, you're damn right.
I don't know. Tell us how you feel, Chip. I just don't know. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on Friday. Why don't you give the mayor's office a call and say, why'd you give your friend another inbound political favor? It's a little ridiculous.
Better yet, tell them give me a couple of...
Yeah. Tell them to give us a letter of non-opposition. We'll go for it.
We'll all chip in and open our own.
That's right. But we want a mobile one.
That's right.
Thanks for watching, everyone.